So far in this series, we've been building out a small Spring Boot application that lets us track different media types. Started with books and then expanded into movies. But in the real world, applications rarely stay limited to a single type of data. Once we have a solid foundation, it's pretty easy to expand. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. All right, so let's take a look quickly at what we're building. So we should be able to come in here, search for a game, and have a list of games populate. This is pulling from the GameBrain's API, so we can search for thousands of games and just add them to our list. That one failed because I already have it. And if we want to view them, we come into our view to see which games are on our list. All right, let's take a look and see how this all looks together. Welcome back, Midnight Coders, to Spring into Java. I am your host, Glabe. So make sure you've got that full cup of coffee, and let's dive on in. Alrighty, so let's start by talking about the API that we're going to be using. GameBrain allows you to create a free account, and then simply on their API dashboard, you can click on Get API Key. This will take you to your usage page, and it will also take you to your API key. You can click on Reveal to get it so that you can copy it. I'm obviously not going to do that here, but GameBrain provides an endpoint. If we look here in the docs, they provide endpoints to search for games in our case. There are other endpoints that they provide, suggesting games, game details, getting similar games to a provided name, and getting game news. But in our case, for this video, we are looking for the the search feature to search for games. So if we come down here, there's a bunch of parameters that we can be adding in. Our API key, we're not going to be adding it as a parameter. Instead, we're going to be adding it as a header. I don't know. I just feel better about that. And if we come down here, this is the result that we get. The result that they return comes back with some sorting logic on how it was sorted. It comes back with some extra boilerplate that we don't really care about. Tells you how many games match the result, and it's limiting you to 10. So it's basically the paging, the offset, and the pay and everything. Then there is the results. The results are the thing that we actually care about. So these come back with a whole bunch of different stuff, and inside of them, you may notice that there's these filler options again we don't care about. We only want the results, and it comes back with a whole bunch of stuff that most of the time we don't care about. They do have this great little option on the bottom, so if you wanted to just use curl to request something, or say you want to write it in Java, you want to write it in JavaScript, maybe you want it in Python, Go, they provide a whole bunch of options here. So our case is Java, but we're not going to do it this way. We're going to be using Spring Boot. So what we want to do is translate all of this noise into something that our application understands. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a request DTO that represents the structure that we care about. Okay, so last time we built out a film for the movies and TV. This time we're building out games, so we have the same sort of structure. Now, since the reply is that of JSON and it contains a whole bunch of noise and boilerplate that we don't care about, we need to first collect a list of the results that we want. So we're going to create a new Java class. This is going to be a record, and this is just going to be the GameBrain game response. Now, go ahead and add that, sure. Now, in here, there's two things that we need to do. First, we need to tell JSON ignore properties, unknown is true. And a lot of this I've already done in the previous video. So I need to create another record. This one is going to be the GameBrain, the DTO. So this is going to be the actual information that we actually care about. So I got to do the same thing in here. We got to come in here and JSON ignore properties true. And then we're going to build out a bunch of stuff in here. We are going to have a record. And now, because this isn't exactly about me typing, we'll come in here and just copy paste this that I've already typed. Now, so this is going to take the ID, the year, the name, genre, image, link, and rating, because I named these the same as the JSON payload that's coming back. So I don't have to match it. This one here, however, I'm calling it short description, but in the actual JSON, it was short underscore description. So because these two differ, I'm telling the JSON parser that this property, this specific property, should be going to this to here. And then down here, we're also keeping track of the mean of the rate of the ratings and the count, so we know how many people have voted and what the average vote is. Now back in here, we just need to have a list of this, and this is actually result. And this is a private list results. No, it's not. This is a record, Mike. Oh my goodness. There we go. Okay. So now this, when we get a payload, we're gonna take the original payload and we're gonna look for the key value of results. From there, we want to then go into here and all of the data inside of results gets mapped out. Very simple. Next, we have to model what it is that we actually want to persist. So let's jump into the domain. Let's create a new Java class, and this is just going to be game. Now, I am going to, once again, copy and paste a little bit of stuff in here, and then we'll run over it, because this is, if you've missed what I'm doing, I did this in the previous video. It's just some of the bare basics that we need to set up. There we go. All right, so what we're doing here is we're creating a table called games. We're setting a unique restraint to be in the GameBrain ID, so this must be unique. We're coming down here, we're extending the media type, which if you didn't follow the beginning, this one keeps track of our basics. Now, we are saying that it is not nullable and it has to be unique. That is for the GameBrain ID. Next, we're keeping track of the release year, title, genre, image, yada, yada, yada. We're also keeping track of when we've added it. So when this goes to get persisted, that's when we're going to set up the added at. Next is we're going to need to build out a client. Now, to do this, we need a couple things first. We need to come down into our application properties, and we need to set up a couple of properties. So we are going to set up some things for the GameBrain, and this one is going to be, that is almost right. We'll take some of that, getting rid of the media stack part. HTTPS API gamebrain.co, not com. Version 1 is all I need. And next, yes, but I've called this game_brain. All right, so I'm not going to show my environment variable, but just know you can come up into here. You can go into edit configurations, and then there is a section to change your keys or your environment variables. So that's going to set up that. And next we're going to need to come in to create a GameBrain, wow, a GameBrain client. This is of course going to be a class, and it is a service, and I'm going to require args constructor so that I can bring in a private final REST client, and then I want a private string base URL, and I want an API key, which these are going to be values, close, no media stack. There we go. And we can double check they go to the right place just by clicking on them, or control clicking on them. So next we need to execute a search. Now, I'm just going to copy and paste this in just so that this video is not extremely long. So here we are taking, and actually we don't need to do this, we can just shorten this up to just return this. So this is going to take the REST client, it's going to make a GET request to the base URL plus this, and we're going to put the header of our API key in here as well, and we're going to retrieve this back to our response. Very simple. So next we need to create a service. This part is kind of long, so this is just going to do the bare bone basic CRUD operations. So what I'm gonna do here is I am also going to copy and paste the code in just so that you're not watching me write it all out, and then we will run through it and talk about it. Okay. So now we've got everything except for the repository. So let's create the interface repository. We're going to stick this okay, we're going to stick this here, add it, and we're going to drop it in here, refactor. All right, so now this is going to extend JPA, take in the game, take in this, and we're going to need to make a, if I remember correctly, we need to make a find by GameBrain. Yeah, okay. So this is an optional. Optional of game, and this is find. Whoops, not a space. Find by game brain ID, and this is actually a long. There we go. And the other one we need to do is delete by. Okay, so now we need to do a void delete by, and we're good. So, okay, so what this is going to do is we're going to take care of creating a game, and after we've created it, we're going to set the media type and all of the ID, and then we're going to save it to our database. We're going to make a way to fetch it. So we're going to search by ID, and or we're going to find it by the GameBrain ID, or else throw a conniption fit. Next, we're going to make a way to get all games, which is just going to be all. And then we have updating games. So here we're going to fetch a cached game based off the ID that were provided by the DTO, and then we're going to update the information in it before we persist it to the database. And then lastly, we have a couple ways to delete. And we also have a service here for searching a game by a game name. So this way you can just pass in a game name. This is going to be used in our controller so that we can then get the results. Speaking of controller, next we need a controller so that our user can execute a search. So we're going to come in here and we're going to create a game API controller. Add this one, and I'm going to run us through this. So this one is a REST controller. We're taking in the args, the all args constructor, so that we're not creating constructors, because that just is boilerplate at this point. So we're going to expose API v1 games, and then when somebody puts in a get mapping to the games slash query, that is when we're going to be searching by, we're going to execute a search by query. So we're going to have a response type because this is a REST controller and we want to return a resource. When in this case, it's going to be the HTML. So here we're going to take in the request parameter of the game to search. We're going to reach out to the game service, and it's going to make that, this is going to make that REST call to our endpoint. And if everything is good, it's going to return back the results of what we got. Next down here is where we can post to where we're going to save our data. So this part here, what's going on is we are going to be taking in a request body of a single game DTO. We're going to validate it. And if it has errors, we're just going to print it out and then return a bad request. But if we hit the happy path, we're going to say service create game, which is going to then create it and persist it to our database and return that everything was okay. But now that we have this, we need a way to view these. So we're going to make yet another controller. This one is going to be the game web controller. And this guy is going to be very, very simple. Again, this one is a controller this time. because we are actually returning a string or an HTML page. And this one is going to be slash games. And this is going to be, if we do just a straight out get the games, this is going to return our index or like our search page. After that, we are also going to have a view page, which I will get into that in a moment. So if we, the HTML pages, when we go to render them, because this is a Java video, I have already wrote this out and I'm not going to spend too much time on teaching you HTML in this Java video. Just know that in here, we're pulling in a style sheet that I got thrown together, and we're going to pull in a JavaScript. And then basically it's just going to be a search form that allows you to search for a game with a submit button. What that roughly looks like is this. Type something in, hit the search, and it's going to do something. That's all this is. Very simple. Now, if we go back to our controller and we go into games/view, this is just going to simply show us all of the games that we have. So it's going to come into here and it's going to say, okay, games get for each game inside of the games that we passed, we're going to say get the image, which I don't know why this. I don't know why this is underlined, but okay, whatever. Anyway, we are we're going to get the image and stick it on the left-hand side. We're going to limit the size of it. And then on the right-hand side, we're going to stick in the title, the release year, the genre, the rating, and the description. This is exactly what I did um, for the films and movies. So if you missed that, check out the previous video where I go a little more in depth about that. But for now, those are the two pages. This is how it renders. We're going to pop into the JavaScript so I can show you how it. So we pop into here, we go into the JavaScript. Here's how we are rendering the games. So this is called after you've clicked on the button. It's then going to make the request, and then for each of the games that it comes back with, we're going to create a card, setting the card name. Then we're going to create a few more constants for safe name, description, and year. Just in case they're null, we are providing some defaults. And next, we are going to slap together a little bit of HTML code that we're going to be wrapping on the web page. So JavaScript is going to create um, this will create some cards with the parsed data so that we can view a list of what came back. And if you don't fully understand this, that's okay. The main thing that you need to know is that the card is being created and then the HTML snippet is being created and JavaScript will swap the section out so that it will populate our view. Now, what does this look like all up and running? Let's have a look. So we'll run our application. Everything is hunky-dory. We turned on. We'll come into here and we will go to /games. We have a search page for games, and if we search up, say, Kingdom Come, it'll come back with a big list of games that we have. And we can simply hit save game, save game, save game. Maybe we want 7 days, because I enjoy 7 Days to Die. So I'm going to save that game. All right. Now, what if I want to view everything that I have saved? Well, We just come into here at the end and go /view. And there we are. The movies or the games that I've added to my collection. As you can see, we could go further with this and make this a bit more pretty, but this is what it is. All right. So before the coffee runs out, let's take a moment and recap what we've just done, what we've learned so far. So in this series, we've started with fundamentals of building a Spring Boot application. We learned how to structure a Spring Boot project, how to create controllers and services, how to use validation for incoming requests, how to persist data using Spring Data JPA, as well as how to integrate external APIs into our applications and render dynamic views for our users. So then we expanded our application from just books and movies to now video games. What I want you to notice is that we never had to redesign the entire application every time we wanted to add a new feature. We simply reused the existing patterns that we built. And that is a huge part of what makes Spring so powerful. So if you've been following along with this series, try expanding this a little bit. Maybe make more fields from the games or movies. Maybe add in a feature to remove a game or a movie from our database. Small improvements like that are how real projects grow over time. So let me know in the comments if you've managed to figure this out. And if you've made it this far, thank you very much for hanging out with me. I hope you've learned something new. If you did, drop a like so that more developers can find the video. Subscribe if you'd like to keep learning as a midnight coder. And if you know anybody else who's learning, make sure to share this as well to help grow the community. Until next time, keep your curiosity open, your skills sharp, and that coffee cup full. I'll catch you in the next one.